addressed. One of the things which haunts all of us in the steel sector, that notwithstanding the various cycles of depression and buoyancy, even with massive import of iron ore at any price of any grade, China has been able to create asset, and possibly because of certain internal policies where they decided they'll go to 600 to 800 million tons. What worries is if this depression continues, the asset creation, if it is not as good as during the buoyancy period, when the demand goes up continuously and we have a deficit of say another 50 million ton in the next 5 years or 7 years, how this gap will be very painful to the community of customers at prices which may be pretty high compared to what we are seeing today. Today's price, the customers may be a little happy. Having said that, I would like to mention, today we have Honorable Minister of Commerce and Industries, Finance, IT, Dr. Amit Mitra, an economist, with us, and I will request him to kindly come up and deliver his address. After his address, Mr. Surgeon General will be here by that time, and then the presentation ceremony will be taken up. Yes, okay. So Mr. Jindal is already here. So we will go by the normal route, which is first Mr. Bishwadip Gupta will make a presentation on the journey of JSW and how Mr. Jindal has taken it forward. We all know it's not just purely the steel, it's also in the power and cement sector. Mr. Jindal has taken it forward, be it a recession cycle, be it a buoyancy, the curve has been always moving up. So we will follow the normal sequence, and well, I'm obliged and we are thankful that Dr. Mitra has agreed to sort of give that extra time to us. Sorry, I did it because I thought Can I now request Mr. Bishwadip Gupta to come up and give his presentation on the journey of JSW Group.
Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Honorable Ministers, sir, respected Mr. Basi, Sri Sajjanji, Ambarish, Dasgupta, President BCCI, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. What can I say about JSW that you do not know? I was thinking about this and I noted down a few points which I'm sure will be of some interest to you. The first thing that comes to the mind, it's not just one of the top steel makers in the world today, it's also a very big entity in energy, infra and cement. It has plants all over the country, but predominantly in the south and west, and in fact JSW is an acronym for Jindal Southwest, unlike what many of us, including me, used to believe it is called Jindal Steelworks. It's Jindal Southwest. There are also assets overseas, and with a group turnover of about US $11 billion, it's one of the fastest growing companies. If I were to trace quickly the history of JSW, and I was getting this feedback recently from Mr. Jindal, is that it started as a very small re-rolling company making flats and steel coils, etc. in Vasind in Maharashtra, early 80s, which he inherited. From there, JSW, that group, it was not called JSW at that point of time, went and bought a company in Tarapur, another downstream industry. Then early 90s, the greenfield steel plant under the aegis of JVSL was started in Bellary. And in 2004, around production capacity of 1.7 million tons per annum, around that much. And then over the years, it went on expanding to a current production of about capacity of about 12 million tons per annum, which is the single biggest site of steel plant in the country today. In the meantime, JSW Group acquired another company in south of India in Salem, making automobile grades alloy steels. And very recently, as you all know, they bought this Ispat Industries in Dolvi and Kalmeshwar, which has actually brought the capacity of JSW Group in steel more than 16-17 million tons a year at the moment. So there's been organic and a lot of inorganic growth. JSW won the Best Steel Plant Award this year and is very highly rated by the World Steel Dynamics. Got the Prime Minister's Award this year as Best Steel Plant. The group's foundation, led by Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal, aims to give back to society and improve lives of individuals. Much before the CSR spend became a mandatory, JSW Group was strongly engaged with development of projects for people. Sports is an area where the group is currently committed to, and I'm sure Mr. Jindal will enlighten us on his Olympic university dreams. And we all, as being passionate in football from the East, we know what JSW Group has done in the I-League through the Bengaluru Football Club. A few weeks back, after Ambarish suggested this idea of this award, I was discussing with Mr. Jindal and I was asking him why him? Why was he chosen? And he mentioned that perhaps his steel track record, diligent and integrity qualities, ability to take up challenges through innovations, and willingness to lead from the front. These could be some of the reasons why he's been selected. I said there is another big thing that he's missing, and that is he's a hugely good human being. I think all his approaches, all his initiatives, he has got a human-centric touch. And I think this aspect separates the good leaders from the outstanding ones. Mr. Jindal himself has been a recipient of the 2014 National Metallurgist Award Industry, instituted by Mr. Abbasi's department, Ministry of Steel. He's chairman of the Sustainability Committee of the World Steel Association, president of INSDAC, council member of Indian Instrumentals, in the National Council of many Chamber of Commerces, past president of ASSOCHAM, etc., etc. It is indeed an honor and privilege for BCCI, and I use that word because it's a very, very big thing for us today in BCCI, to present the Steel Icon Award to Mr. Jindal today, exactly 11 years after his father, Sri O.P. Jindal, received Lifetime Achievement Award from this chamber. Before that, let us have a look at the small presentation that we in BCCI have prepared to understand why Mr. Sajjan Jindal.
to innovate, to benchmark, to strive, and to deliver values beyond expectations.
In true tradition of Bengal, Mr. Jindal, we say that the person who accepts the award does a great favor to the organization which gives the award. Thank you very much for accepting the award. Now, I will request Bengal Chamber to first hand over a flower bouquet to Mr. Jindal. May I now request Dr. Amit Mitra, Honorable Minister, to hand over or to decorate Mr. Jindal with the Uttariya and the memento which we are calling as Medal Icon Award 2015. Can I now request Honorable Minister to please come and give his address to the...
Thank you very much. ধন্যবাদ আমাকে আপনারা ডেকেছেন বলে এবং সত্যি আমি বাধিত টু বেঙ্গল চেম্বার অফ কমার্স এন্ড ইন্ডাস্ট্রি অম্বরীশ বাবু আমাকে বলেছিলেন এই আজকে আসার কথা he's just become the new president. I had the honor of being there when he took over, so it was a pleasure to be here, and even greater pleasure to be with an iconic figure in the steel industry and in industry in general, Mr. Sajjan Jindal, whom I have known for many years, and what a wonderful thing for us in Bengal, for us to have you with us. Of course, Vishwajit Gupta has been a driver for many years. I have had long conversations with him. I'm delighted that Vishwajit Babu spoke before us in a wonderful presentation. I'm also very happy that we have with us Mr. Purandar Bhattacharya, who was helping us with this project as he elucidated. Mr. Molay Mukherjee, an iconic figure among us in Bengal. Very happy that you were able to join us. Mr. T.K. Mukherjee, who's on the WBIDC Board of Directors, West Bengal Industrial Development Corporation, my colleague on the board. Very happy that you are here. Of course, Omlan Basu, I'm very happy he is here as the chairman of the Mines and Minerals and Metals Corporation of West Bengal, and also the chairman of West Bengal Finance Corporation. Omlan Babu, thanks. This is partly your field. And of course, I see a galaxy of people. If I were to recognize all of you today, it will take all day in the kind of very, very senior people present here. I'd like to first start with the India scenario, something positive. I always, and of course, very important that our Joint Secretary from Delhi is here, because his opening statement I listened to very carefully, and I'm very happy that Mr. Abbasi is here and gave us an overview on the Indian scene. Let me just add the optimistic part, carry his optimistic part forward. A study indicates to me that almost all major countries who produce steel in the world, barring some smaller countries, they all have negative growth. in between January and May 2014. The only major exception is India. China is negative 1.6%, I am told. Japan is negative minus 4.4%. South Korea, of course, South Korea is negative 5.1%, and other European countries approximately minus 4.7% growth. If these numbers are right, being a student of economics, I'm always skeptical about numbers, assuming they're okay. Even CIS countries is minus 5.6, North America minus 7.2, South America minus 0.2, Middle East is positive 2.4, but India is positive 6.1% in the world crude steel production in millions of tons measured, but I give you the percentage. That is something that I would like to applaud today. The industry as well as governments of all states and the center, that we are still very much there as a leader in terms of growth in the world today. Let me also submit that I'm so delighted that I happen to be on the board of SAIL, Steel Authorities, for about 5 years in my previous life, and I'm so delighted that today JSW has far moved forward, and we'd like you to compete, everybody to compete on a fair wicket. So it's a great honor that nationally JSW Limited, under the leadership of Mr. Sajjan Jindal, is now the #1 company in India and among the leaders in the world today. And of course there is Tata Steel, there's SAIL, they are also very much neck to neck. I would encourage, if anybody is there from SAIL, to take on the cudgel and start competing. I know that it is these kind of, and Tata Steel of course, I find that was also in that running to compete, but I must confess that Mr. Sajjan Jindal's company is far ahead of others, so they'll have a long way to catch up. And let me now turn for a moment to the West Bengal scene. I am delighted that the crude steel production in West Bengal, when we came to office in 2010-11, it was approximately 37,33,000 tons. What is it in 2013-14, the last figure I have, and I'll give you more figures. It's 72,13,000 is the growth. It's approximately 193%. It's almost twice the amount. This is something that's not known and not written about. Number two, I think it's important for us to understand that I looked at, since I also happen to be finance minister, so I have access to tax data, which makes it very useful because you get a lot of insights from tax data. What I found is that in 2010-11, using the tax data, assuming that everybody pays tax, or the input credits you take, of course, come out remain outside of the tax post payment. Using tax data, I find that the turnover of the steel industry, this is manufacturing and retail is about maybe 20% of this, so you can discount from the number I give you, was approximately 7,500 crores when we came to office, 2010-11. You'll be happy to know that in 2014-15, the approximate figure is 20,000 crores. From 7,500 crores to 20,000 crores. Now you will obviously ask me, what about your taxes? When 2010-11, the taxes the West Bengal government received from this sector was 300 crores. What is it now? Happy to say that it's 850 crores from this sector, and we thank the sector for that. As you know, our aggregate taxes, own taxes, have doubled in 3 years, which is probably a record in India, from 21,000 to about 40,000 crores. But specific to this sector, it has almost tripled from 300 crores to 850 crores. It's a very, very optimistic scenario indeed, and I applaud the industry for this remarkable development. I was also very happy that the Honorable Chief Minister and the Prime Minister were there. Chief Minister from our home state and of course the Prime Minister. They were there when the modernization and expansion program of ISP, under of course ISCO steel plant, was implemented with an investment of 16,000 crores, and it will triple ISP's hot metal capacity from 0.85 million tons, I assume, to about 2.9 million tons per annum. And I'm delighted that such a big development has happened. I'm also told that the Durgapur steel plant is also undergoing very major expansion plans. I had a meeting where about 8-9 months ago. They are looking at massive expansion in the future. These are very positive benchmarks for the centre in terms of large industry. And of course, I will come to Mr. Jindal's great effort here in a moment. Now, what is it that we would like, what are we encouraging, this government? Encourage strategic alliances of all sorts, buyback arrangements, dedicated export production through 100% export-oriented units. Yesterday only one gentleman came to me saying he has a problem because I first told him, I know what you make, you must be 45% capacity of your production cost is power. How do you know? I said, accidentally I know. And then he was talking to me about the problems that if we moved from here to there, his cost of production would go down because of the differential power rates in the state. So I said, look, I can't, you pick up your factory and move 20 miles away and you will be much better off. So, but what is important is EOU, export-oriented units. There are many, several in our states, and I would like to encourage that. Encourage the use of steel in constructing bridges, crash barriers, flyovers, buildings, etc. That's happening obviously, because otherwise those numbers will not pan out, which I've just given you. Enhance basic and applied research and development. Here I would like to make an appeal to Bengal Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Mr. Jindal as an iconic figure. Can we look at some major applied research and development in our state? Given that we have a huge bandwidth here, that's a core competency of the state, the government would be very happy to collaborate with an association, the chamber that you suggest, for a development of an applied research. This is missing. Support basic and applied research, utilize indigenous raw material through partnerships. Can we look at indigenous raw materials of various sorts and look at partnership? Government will be there to help in whatever way. Steel production will encourage to develop port and berth facilities. As you know, the major deep sea port with the central government, in which West Bengal government has taken 26% equity. So we are not saying you do it. We are on the ground. Now when that port comes up, it will have huge demand for steel, and we hope that this industry will respond. Now to move to the small and medium enterprises, you'd be very happy to know that when I was small, little, my grandfather passed away, Mr. Suresh Chandra Bose. He used to take me to Howrah Ghat. He was an entrepreneur. He trained in Germany, he liked to tinker. That vanished over time. In 34 years of the previous government, it slowly petered out. Now, how do we bring foundry back to Bengal? You'd be very happy to know that approximately 269 acres have been allotted jointly with WBIDC for a Foundry Cluster Development Association, which is the partner. And you'd be happy to know that this has not only been done, 14Y has been given, so they are ready to move now. It will have approximately 1,500 crores investment, 1,500 crores, small enterprises. About 50 of them the association has roped in with us. It will have an employment in the first round of 10,000 people. To me, what is critical is, Bengal used to be the leader in foundries. It used to be at one time called the Sheffield of the East. Why Sheffield of the East? I would like to see tomorrow Bengal would become the first denominator, the first one, that Howrah would be what Sheffield would like to imitate someday or somewhere else. So I am very happy that in the small and medium enterprises, aside from the big ones that I have mentioned, we have made a huge move. And already close to 300 acres, I think, is already in their possession, and the gentleman of the association was here. So 1,500 crores current investment, this will go to 2,500 crores. And employment of 10,000 directly and 20,000 indirectly according to their calculations. So 30,000 people will be employed because these are labor intensive units. They will have backward and forward linkages because they supply ancillary, etc. So whether it is small industry, we are doing our little bit with shoulder to shoulder, WBIDC, West Bengal Industrial Development Corporation, which I happen to chair now. That is the joint venture partner. My board member is also here. So we move from the small ancillarization to 30,000 potential people's employment, 10,000 directly. Decent investment for small and medium enterprises, connecting up with people like Mr. Jindal, because they will provide you all kinds of things over time. That's the way the vertical works. I'm also very happy that Diocha Pachami, this is